Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Path of Exile 2, and we are still in the early stages of the new Return of the Ancients expansion, and the Runes of Kalgur, that's the name of the league, right? That league. We were streaming on day one, almost a week ago at this point, and I have been playing a little bit since then, but still have some work to be done to continue to progress this character, not yet through the campaign just yet. But for those of you who need a reminder or who weren't there on day one, we are going for a monk martial artist. At the time when we were last checking in, it was still just a monk and not yet a martial artist, but I did ascend, kind of, sort of, off stream a few days ago, and I'm now into, where am I? The end of Act 4. There are a few things that kind of need to do to catch up, so might end up, rather than just going full speed ahead on the campaign, might do our second ascension. I've yet to do that, so we may find ourselves doing that today. Let's see. I mean, gearing. You'll see there are a few things that, well, most of our gear is probably pretty meh at this point, but such is the way of leveling up, certainly at least at League Start. I did, as I said, I ascended initially, and by that I mean I did the first ascendancy trial, and I clicked on the button that made me a martial artist. However, I've not actually allocated those points yet, because I didn't I felt not great about experiencing martial artists for the first time off stream, so I've done the work to set it up. I just haven't actually allocated and experienced it just yet. So the plan is to become a crit-based character, as has generally been the theme for most of the PoE 2 characters that we have made thus far. And the way that we intend to do that, well, we don't yet have a full-blown build in mind. So that's another thing we may find ourselves doing, is popping open some Path of Building 2 and lining out what we actually want on the skill tree and equipment and skills and all that stuff. But theoretically, at least, the plan is to go into Hollow Focus Technique. That's the one that you may have seen a little bit or heard a little bit about. It creates bells around us periodically, and our hits basically one-shot the bells automatically, creates a shockwave that damages nearby enemies and creates a heavy stun on enemies that are primed for stun. The bells themselves are always primed for stun, can be culled, and hits against them are always critical hits. It's a little bit strange in that it is not as if the bells are giving us huge critical hit chance or critical hit damage like, say, you might get from the now I'm blanking out on her name, the Blood Mage. That is her name, is it not? Yeah, it turns out her name is actually pretty straightforward, but it allows us to automatically crit something that we don't usually have reason to want to damage. So it raises a question as to what exactly we're looking to get out of our critical hits, because usually what we've done is we try to get up to 100% critical hit chance and 1,000+% critical hit damage. But this is what I'm getting at. Having bells that automatically get crit, sure, you're technically, you have a 100% chance to crit on the bells, but who cares about that? So it's mostly a question of, can we stack various other abilities, buffs, what have you, that proc when we deal a critical hit that makes it meaningful to be regularly getting crits on all of these bells. And probably also still having a high enough base critical hit chance and, well, critical hit chance, period. Base and other increases. But, and crit damage so that when we are attacking enemies directly, other than our bells, we are still doing a meaningful amount of critical hit damage, and we're getting those crits regularly. So that's the very likely first ascendancy point that we're going to take. Then probably this next one as well, which is also on the bell theme with hollow resonance. Rather than having the bells periodically appear around us, in this case, it makes the bell attached to our back. Critical hits with other skills still cause the bell to ring out, damaging nearby enemies. So this is where we get the convenience of the bell being far more consistent and just improving our quality of life with using it. But also, I mean, I haven't used either of them yet, obviously, but it may be that this makes it more consistently give us secondary damage off of the critical hit to surrounding enemies, which again is where, okay, now it becomes meaningful to get critical hits, even if you're just hitting a bell that is not directly about to hurt you or anything like that. So those are the critical hit oriented things that I am thinking that we'll find ourselves using. And then is it this one? This one just looks really cool. The one that basically channel to create a fleeting image of your astral self near the target location. So you basically create clones of yourself. The images perform a socketed melee attack once, then they vanish, targeting the closest enemy if possible. The images cannot perform channeled skills or conditional skills. Consuming a power charge creates additional of these clones. So if we have power charge generation, which I think we should be able to do, then we can have a bazillion copies of our clones spamming our abilities for us as we just stand still channeling, which I think will look really cool. So if we can do that, plus the crit, then that would be great. And then that leaves us with one other ascendancy, major ascendancy point that we can pick up, and I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be. I mean, there are useful things, yes. I'm not entirely sure. Like, in a vacuum, this looks pretty strong, giving us additional damage and damage mitigation. There's one that makes, this one makes our gloves potentially way stronger, but it's not super clear exactly what that will do. It varies from one pair of gloves to the next, and we haven't established what gloves we intend to use. So that one is intriguing, but may or may not end up being what we end up going for. So it probably would be one of those two. Otherwise, there's one that gives us the ability to use more rune sockets, which could be good. I mean, there are various new runes that have been added. I have yet to really look into just how powerful those might be, so that would probably dictate whether this is actually worth dedicating ascendancy points to get, but also could be a consideration. Then there's combo related stuff. I don't think we're going to find ourselves using either of these, because I think they kind of both synergize, both combo oriented, so just taking one of them might be bad. I don't know. I mean, maybe this one is amazing and you don't even need this guy. I really didn't even look at them. So we'll see. I mean, that fourth one is a ways down the path because obviously we still have a ways to go here. But why don't we start by taking this? And then, as I said, we may find ourselves trying to pick this up very soon. So we'll do that. Very close to leveling here as well. But even after spending those ascendancy points, we still have 2 more passive points, which I've been a little bit hesitant to pick up because I have, as you can probably imagine, thus far allocated the very straightforward critical hit nodes that are more or less right in front of the monk starting area, which is really convenient from that standpoint to have quick and easy access to these clusters. But then once we start branching out a little bit further, this is power charge related stuff and crit based on the power charges, which hasn't always been something we've done with previous critical hit characters, but this time, as I said, I think we have reason to believe we can make that work. But once we start getting further, then I start to question a little bit more, okay, what's the most efficient way for us to path on our tree, and which of the other crit clusters do we want to make a point of hitting, which, again, will have a fair bit to do with what is most efficient from a point spending standpoint. And since I've yet to actually make a full-blown passive tree, or passive tree of any sort for this character, I don't know what the answer to that is until we sink a little bit of time into it. Mostly just going off of, well, it's not my first time making a crit character, so something like this shouldn't be that far off. But that's why I do currently have a couple of unspent passive points, and we could take the notables here. This one gives us the biggest pure unconditional crit damage on the tree. There are some that are higher that are conditional, but 60% crit damage at the cost of 20% reduced crit chance. So, big upside, however, does come with a somewhat significant downside. And then, similarly, in this case, reduced crit damage, but increased crit chance. So, they kind of cancel each other out on net. Let's see, it's what, 30 and 30, I think? Right? Because we're getting plus 50 and minus 20 in both cases. Oh, no, it's actually a little bit more than that for the damage. Net 60 crit damage? Yeah, okay. Or rather, sorry, net 40 crit damage. 60 minus 20. So 40 damage, 30 chance. For 2 points, that's still good. That's still good. It's quite good. I mean, as you can see, it's usually 15% per standard point for crit damage, and it's 10 generally for crit chance. So basically, what did we say? 30 for crit chance? So it's like as if this is 3 points for crit chance and almost 3 points for crit damage, and it only cost us 2 points to do it, so it's still efficient. Just if you only have one of those, then, and you're relatively early on in your crit journey, then it can feel a little off-putting if you go here and you're like, well, suddenly my crits don't feel like they're hitting very hard. Or you go here and you're saying to yourself, well, it feels like I'm never getting a crit. But, okay. With that being said, that now puts us at 40% crit chance, with almost all of that crit scaling coming from the tree. We do have a staff that is, or rather quarterstaff, which is pretty low level relative to our character level at the moment, but that's because this is well rolled, and it turns out that later versions, later bases for quarterstaffs have various things about them that are not great for us, including that the highest level quarterstaff base that we can use right now has a 0% crit chance, so needless to say, I was not pleased to see that. But this one does have a little bit of additional base crit chance, although I think there are some quarterstaff bases that start with 12%. So obviously, we would love to see something like that in the near future, and that would boost things up further. We have a little bit of crit damage on the gloves. I'll quickly mouse over the other stuff, but it's nothing especially notable at the moment. It is, for the most part, just random stuff that I happened to pick up along the way, and in some cases did a little bit of crafting to patch up some of the gaps. And it leaves us with almost all of our resistances capped at the moment. Not quite. Obviously, chaos is... What's a chaos resistance? I've never heard of it. So, we are very close to hitting another level, so that would be nice, but let's just see. So, as I said, I've done acts. I think we were... Where were we leaving off? We were leaving off... Is that the beginning of Act 2? Might have been the beginning of Act 2. So obviously I've done all of Act 2, all of Act 3 outside of the ascendancy trial there, so we might circle back to do that. Then Act 4, I'm very close to the end, basically just the final zone, and also potentially Plunder's Point, the bonus area, if you will. Uh, I did also, just earlier today, I finished the Halls of the Dead zone, which is the place where you can get those 3 tattoos that give you either stat boosts, small stat boost, or I should say attribute boosts, or small resistance boosts. And I mean, generally, either of those things can be helpful at end game. It's not like it's a game-changing amount, but I got there, realized, oh, hey, wait a second, I'm not sure which one of these things I need more. And so I finished all the little trials, mini trials to get those tattoos unlocked, and then I just decided, nope, I'm not going to use any of them right now, because I want to figure out what we're actually doing with the build first, and then I can make a more informed decision. So I'm pretty sure if we just poke our head back to the final area here and talk to Hinakora, then we can instantly get all 3 of them. So it shouldn't be that much of an issue there, but it's just the kinds of things that we are, of course, the kinds of situations we're finding ourselves in, having not done any, oh yeah, having not done any, build guide, or, like, full-blown Path of Building setup for this character yet. I remembered seeing this show up on the world map and thinking, what the heck is this thing? And then I didn't click on it. I didn't even remember seeing the entrance to it, to be honest with you. But now it's glowing, and it made a sound effect. And it feels like we should probably go here. Oh, also, I'll hop into Discord. I mean, usually on day 1 of a new league, I'll just go solo and experience everything firsthand. But usually after that, or at least soon after that, I'll hop into Discord, and if other people are in a similar place, or certainly by the time we're at endgame and everyone can potentially be in maps together, we might team up with some amigos. So I'm gonna hop into Discord here. I imagine other people are probably further along than I am right now, but oh well. And we can see the bells spawning in already. As for skills, I have generally been sticking with what we had at the very beginning, which is... was it Falling Thunder's the name? Yeah, Falling Thunder for our primary attack. And then we have a couple of abilities that can potentially get power charges, including Killing Palm, which culls enemies in cull range, giving us power charges in the process, and it can also dash from one cullable enemy to the next, which is why we found ourselves hopping around somewhat unexpectedly a second ago. And then we also have this guy, which is very similar, Siphoning Strike. It doesn't cull, but it also does a burst of damage when enemies are shocked. It consumes the shock, and then it gives us a power charge. Now, these bells notably are not shocked. They are cullable, though. So the bells do work for Killing Palm. They don't necessarily work for Siphoning Strike. But the really nice thing about having what is fairly consistent power charge generation alongside, in addition to that, a spirit skill, Lingering Illusion, that creates a little clone of us. It's hard to see there, but a little clone of us that if enemies attack that, then it creates a little power charge on the ground that we can pick up. So if we are regularly culling enemies, we can get power charges that way. If we're dodging and enemies hit our clone, then we can get power charges that way. That means when we're doing pack clearing, and also when we're doing boss killing, at least with this system, we have a way to generate power charges. It's the boss part is definitely not as consistent, but when we do get the power charges, it's pretty nice, because we currently have a maximum of 5, and Falling Thunder gets... where is it? Ooh, is it under the projectile? 50% more damage per power charge, and 100% more damage if any number of power charges was consumed. So Stacking power charges with this skill is kind of insane, especially if you get all those power charges and you deal a crit. As I was saying, we have 40% crit chance right now, which is half decent at this stage in the game, but obviously we want that to be close to, if not at 100 in the future. But combine all that more damage plus this more damage from when we do land a critical hit, and if we combine that crit with a Falling Thunder that has a bunch of power charges to use, then it's kind of crazy how much damage that does, even with very lackluster gear and not exactly high-level skill or tons of support gems or anything like that. Alright, but what is the deal here? Well, I vaguely recall seeing something like this in... There we go. I vaguely recall seeing something like this in the either second or first stone. And Falling Thunder also just looks really cool. It has all the projectiles. And it leaves the marks on the ground, which I think is also a really nice touch. These are a really low-level zone for us, so I don't think we're going to bother sticking around to fight everything, by any means. I'm a little intrigued by the lore, but maybe we'll keep things moving. And then you get enemies with shields. And that doesn't work so well for us. Also, we are an absolute glass cannon, because I've not taken a single defensive node on the tree thus far, and as I said, our gear is not great. So we're pretty reliant on taking enemies out quickly.
The jungle holds many secrets, it seems. Now, what have we...
I had to remind myself that we were in Act 3. He's like, what? Why are we talking about a jungle again? I'm totally taking this first.
Ah, another tome. Now, let's see here.
Tome,
Volume
you say?
2, The Fractured Midgard. After a prosperous reign, Aldur, the first king of Kalgur, joined the Eternal Hearth. Midgard quickly fractured, and her people fell into unruly despair and violence. To unite them anew, Aldor's rune fathers banded together to smith their greatest and most ambitious design.
Ambition is a double-edged sword, but perhaps we should seek out this artifact all the same.
We need to finish the tale. I must know more about these rune fathers. So, are we done here?
Alright, well, what does this tell us? Quest complete. Runeforged recipe. Unlock unique weapons and armor. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, that's another thing, is I have done that in general, off stream, I try not to experience too many of the new things or do anything super significant, which is why I hadn't allocated the ascendancy points yet. I also have not done much in the way of spending the resource that you get from the new league mechanic. Already forgetting the name of it. Kind of just mindlessly tossed it in the stash. Verisium. I have not really been using that. And by not really been using that, I mean I've not used it once. I have not used it at all, so I know basically nothing about it, other than that there is a Verisium anvil in seemingly every town now. Here's another quest reward that I deliberately did not cash in because I, once again, was not sure if I was... which one I wanted to get. This does have crit damage. Actually, our current pair of gloves does as well, and this is obviously pretty low level, so it doesn't make much sense. Okay. So we have that. Then do we go try out this? Oh, wait, what? Why is it still glowing? Huh? Does it still do that in the other places? Or there was another one in one of the previous acts. Was it 1 or was it 2? Which is not updated yet, because that definitely does happen sometimes. Just when it's glowing like that, makes it seem like we missed something and that we ought to go back, but I'm pretty sure we did the main thing. In fact, and maybe I just am not seeing it here, but if there was one in Act 1 or Act 2, then maybe it just disappears once you've gone to it, because the game basically says, you have no reason to ever return here, so we're just going to delete it from the map. And that might be why I'm not seeing it, at least in Act 2. And perhaps very soon in Act 3, it will disappear as well. Maybe once the instance is gone, the one in which we were just completing those things. But let's go Temple of Chaos. So we are level 53 in what theoretically is a level 38 area. Obviously, Chaos Trials can have various twists and turns that we do not have perfect control over. So it could be more difficult than the zone level would suggest. Why don't we, before we hop in, make ourselves a little bit stronger here by getting a higher level version of our main skill. Just check that, at least for the stuff on me, it's mostly been a rotation of 1, 2, and 3. Don't really think we need to upgrade much of anything else here. Oh, okay, let's go for it. Now, there is technically the speedrunner strat of, if you're willing and able to piggyback off of someone else who carries you, as soon as you get access to the first ascendancy trial area, the trial of the Sakemas, you could potentially purchase one of the high zone level versions of those keys, have someone basically take you in right before the final boss fight, and then them defeating the final boss fight for the tier 4 version of Trial of Sakemas gets you your full ascendancy points by level 22 or whatever it is. So not about to do that here this time round, but at least for now we'll get the second one all by ourselves. Theoretically, we shall see. And this is the one that you get automatically via a quest, and therefore it is reusable. This one and the first trial, the Sakemas one, is also reusable, so if for whatever reason something goes horribly wrong, then you can always try again. And this is 1 zone back, which means we are actually capped across the board, resistance-wise. So that's good. Significantly overcapped for cold, which don't know if there are any modifiers that might affect that. There might be. So, alright. Okay. Bleed, and we have stun are the things that we're addressing. Our charms.
Approach, challenger.
Let's see. Rings of Doom. Exploding for physical damage. Monsters always inflict bleeding and poison. I mean, as I just said, maybe we're kind of okay with that. Less armor, evasion, and energy shield. I'm gonna be honest with you. Our armor, evasion, and energy shield are all pretty horrible right now. Maybe energy shield is slightly better, and evasion, I mean, armor's, it's just doing nothing at that stage. Obviously, energy shield, even in small numbers, it's doing something. Evasion, to an extent. But maybe we're willing to sacrifice that here, since we're mostly just going with our relatively high life pool for this stage of the game as our main form of defense. Just don't... I mean, sure, we'll go with this. And I would say if we were not seriously over-leveled, that would be a dangerous game to play. And if we didn't have this, it'd be a dangerous game to play. But I'm hoping that we can one-shot a lot of the enemies so that they go down before we get hit. And therefore, does not become a problem. Granted, I don't really know what I was looking at, but just kind of like staring off at... I don't know, I was not looking at the enemies at the beginning there. What was I looking at? Just looking in the corner here or something? Was I distracted by the bells on it? Oh, hello. Damn it. There we go. Can we use this to teleport further away? Oh, we can. I didn't realize there's still an enemy there. One moment, please. Not gonna pick things up for crafting base purposes when the zone level is as low as it is. Yeah, so now, because we have the bells spawning in regularly, even when we're walking between zones, which is between packs of enemies or waiting for a boss to spawn in, those were usually the times during the campaign when I was struggling most to maintain the power charges and therefore maintain our power. Definitely not doing this. I hate that guy. Maybe we'll do the blood globules. We'll do this. It's also potentially dangerous. We're kind of banking a lot of this on not getting hit because we have good damage, but as I said, kind of just zoning out in the first area. Like here, for example, we can do this in advance if we really want to. Forget, does this one accelerate if we kill rares, or is that just the trial and the trial of Sechemus? Am I just mixing those up, or do they actually behave similarly? That was weird. Well, let's find out. I don't think I noticed that going any faster that time. Stop that, sir. Thank you. So yeah, the bells... I mean, to be honest, if we attach the bells to our back, then we're going to lose this ability to have them be a way to teleport. So from a mobility standpoint, it's actually going to be a downgrade. Hadn't really thought of. We aren't going to be able to do that. Now, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not entirely sure yet. It's kind of funny, at least now, but we aren't at any real risk of these enemies being strong enough to accidentally find ourselves teleporting into a one-shot mechanic or anything like that. Maybe once we get to some of the bosses, that could change. Let's see. Volatiles on death. More bosses, deal more damage, take less damage, use life, mana, energy, shield, recovery rate. Think we can get away with this.
Fight the slowing of your own heart.
I mean, of course, everything is bad. That's kind of the whole point. don't have cullable enemies, you try to press the cull button, and then you just stand there and you punch them. And it doesn't really do much. So in some ways, it does create a little explosion, which I think increases the damage relative to a non-cull hit from the skill. So having, even like in this case, a bell next to an enemy gives us some of that collateral damage to make it more reliable. And then the power charge generation so that we can get bigger stuff in the future. What is this guy's deal? Is that big enemy real or not? It seemed like it was just standing there doing nothing, and I tried to attack it, and then it continued doing nothing. I was kind of confused. So, no, I will not exclusively press this button when we get to a boss fight, so... That actually hurt. Mostly an exercise in patience, though. Oh. Here. Pardon moi? There we go. In the past, for example, I was thinking about potentially picking up additional power charge duration, which is very close by, just to more easily carry over the power charges from one pack to the next, or from a pack into a boss fight, because very often I was finding myself, unless I kited the pack of enemies right in front of the boss fight, usually I'd get to the boss fight, the boss would take long enough doing its monologue or its dramatic entrance that by the time I was actually able to damage it, the power charges had expired, and then our damage goes way down. So I was tempted to pick some of these up to make it more likely that we'd have just enough power charge duration to actually hit those bosses with a power charge version of Falling Thunder, but with the bells, suddenly, that may not be an issue.
This is just the beginning.
Okay, so let's see. Room appears that will deal deadly lightning storms if you remain in them. I don't remember that one, really. Yeah, definitely not the Shade. I hate the Shade. Challenge area contains several statues that petrify you if you stand in their gaze for long duration. These all sound kind of... I really hate this guy. This is definitely a no-go. I'm going to do that.
Lightning descends.
And is this actually... Is this one a boss? And if so, is it the last one for this just sort of early trial version? You know, since obviously this is just for our second ascendancy point, in which case I am going to do exactly what I was just describing and take a second to power ourselves up so that we can more easily get that guy. There we go. Oh, those still exist, apparently. I was not really paying attention to the lightning storm things, but I think we're good here, right? Oh. Is that the last round, or do you go all the way to a second set of, or a second boss? For the first Chaos Trial? I didn't think you did. Yeah. There we go. These... Oh, right, I forgot. I just picked up the other stuff because I figured, why not? I did not even begin to look at these guys, so I have no idea if they're any good. They may be horrible. They are not amazing, I can tell you that much, because they are going to be low level.
Long have I... The rule. Chaos is watching. May the
Now
strong
let us
grow even stronger.
this. I guess if we really wanted to, we could manufacture some inventory space to pick up some more stuff. Even then, though, I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be enough for... It's just blue stuff that we would identify and vendor for gold. Not a huge deal. Okay, so in which case, I think that means we're headed back here. Maybe we'll do just that. And then we may carry on with
Greeted.
the campaign. No.
Well met.
Yes.
What can I do for you?
Yeah.
Here's your gold.
3% maximum block chance on the corruption. It's kind of nice, but not really something we were looking for, and no quality or anything like that. Our jewelry is not amazing. It's actually not a horrible starting spot. I might even hold on to that in case we need to stack cold res at a later time. Oh, there's enough room for that. And you increase damage with plant skills, you say? No, that's definitely not something we're going to find ourselves wanting to use, but you never know. Maybe in the future. So, there we go. Two other quest rewards that I've deliberately not yet cashed in. Okay, so I think we were probably heading here. Oh, actually, another thing that I not yet made a point of doing is we do have, I believe, a fully charged Temple of Chaos, which we probably should do at some point. I have no idea what level that's going to be. I mean, we could do that. Maybe it'll give us a character level. I kind of doubt it. I think it's going to be too low of a level. They did, I think, nerf that in a few ways. They made it so you can't do the snake system anymore. I don't remember exactly how they made that the case. Or did I just go... Hold on. What? Temple of Chaos. Wait. Oh, Vol Ruins. There we go. I was like, wait, but it is a temple, isn't it? No, it's
This
ruins.
mechanism hums, tune with the stone around it.
This is where I'd be deaf.
Skip this, 'cause this was
Oh, gosh.
old news. That's
Something
last league.
exciting's gonna happen, isn't it?
Okay, oh, we have lots of guardhouses. Alright, so... Humanoid monsters have increased effectiveness. So, yeah, admittedly, I'm not really sure what our approach is going to end up being here. So, I don't think you can really snake anymore, and I also think they may have made some changes that makes it harder to sustain the same layout on a temple. I'm sure there's still an optimal way to do it, but the optimal way is probably not leaps and bounds better than a pretty run-of-the-mill temple, at least not to the extent that it used to be. I'm kind of tempted. Hold on. Just what happens if we have 4 guardhouses all right next to each other? No? Okay. Just wondering. Just wondering. Okay. This. That's Commander's Chamber. Ah, okay. Would we have wanted to put the super linky spot right there? We might have. You're not gonna let me put it here. I feel like that's not a very good piece. What if we go? We can't put a guardhouse there as well? Darn. Okay. But if we do, then... These all... That doesn't connect there. That doesn't connect there. That does connect. So we do this. We do this. Get you up to tier 3. We can't do it to you. No, okay. That gets you up to tier 3. Then that makes you... Ooh. You tier 3 and you tier 3. Okay, sure. We'll do that. And then the workshop apparently is going to have to be somewhere over here. I don't really remember what this does when you scale it up. So I'm not sure how much to prioritize it. I'm going to put it in a corner for that reason. Okay, let's run the temple.
Stirs,
Let's do it.
itself from within.
And then let's actually allocate those points that we picked up. Although, as I said, there potentially is some reason why this may not be quite as good. I just want to double check what exactly the difference is. So the bells appear every 2.4 seconds, which probably gets quicker as we level up. Well, it's level 13 right now. The duration's 21 seconds. Probably not going to try to... The duration shouldn't matter that much. Limit 3 active bells. I don't think that ever goes up. And if we go here... Matches bell to your back. Critical hits with arch skills. Cause that ring out. More stun buildup. Shockwave radius is 2 meters. It doesn't change that much, to be honest with you. I'm wondering if we might wait on this. We might not be as much in need of it as I had originally thought. At least not yet. In which case, we could go here, which would be the next priority, I think. Even that little small point is good. 10% chance to get more power charges. So this is the one we're going to have to bind this. This is an active skill. But we channel it to create extra copies of ourselves. Which, admittedly, is going to require some skill / support gem setup. But we're going to do it. Oh, I forgot about Tempest Bell, which is a different type of bell, which is based on combos, which, as I was saying before, we haven't really been making a point of doing. What if we go hollow form here as well? But it's not going to work unless and until... Oh, right, we have Stash Tab here. Okay, so we could still set this up right now. Take a look. Just some of that. Take some of these. I think some of my support gems on our current skills are definitely out of date as well. But hollow form. So it needs an active skill, right? There we go. Socketed melee attack once, then vanish. So could we... Does it make sense? I don't think it should be Falling Thunder, because that would mean that I don't think our clones can get power charges. Certainly not if they only attack once. So they're not going to be able to get the big bonuses on Falling Thunder, and the base version is not as strong. Could we... Well, oh, it can't be... technically this isn't conditional, because you can still use it. Even if it doesn't have a cullable enemy, it's not going to do as much. But it could work. Or alternatively, similarly, Siphoning Strike. Might want to look at some other options. Things that we had not previously been looking very closely at. So, Whirling Assault. Cancel hitting enemies around you with series of spinning strikes. I don't know how that's going to work with clones. Do they go for the full spinny maneuver? Hopefully. really have ice / cold stuff right now, so I don't know that we want to do that. Not using marks, at least not at the moment, but that could change in the future. Combo. Consume all power charges. Again, the clones aren't going to be able to do that, but maybe we would ourselves in the future. Let me just look more closely at this. Consume all power charges. Charge your quarterstaff with electricity, adding lightning damage and lightning shockwave to your quarterstaff attacks. For using this skill, the buff is active. Adds the buff's duration and oh! Okay. 1 to 9 added quarterstaff attack lightning damage per power charge consumed, which maximum number of power charges. Okay, so it does have a cap. For a second, it sounded like there was no cap, which would have been insane. Buff duration is 6 seconds per power charge consumed. So it's also, even if there was no cap on the number of times you could get that boost, functionally would be based on the 6-second limit, but you would, without that cap, you would still be able to get ludicrously powerful, so it was probably necessary. Keep your quarterstaff, projecting bolt of lightning through the ground. Long fissure ahead of you, converts fizz to lightning, more chance to shock. Now that does intrigue me, because having enemies get shocked is another synergistic effect that we like to have. It's an alternative way for us to get power charges, and that means it could be a way to more easily sustain our clones. Talking about siphoning strike. Leap forward, slam ground, sending out a shockwave. Shockwave applies broken stance to dazed enemies, causing hits against those enemies to deal extra damage. Hold on. Because our bell is primed to stun. Shockwave applies broken stance to but it's not dazed. No, okay. I don't think that really benefits us all that much. Staggering palm, though. Dash to enemies, strike them instantly. Heavily stunning enemies are primed for stuns that would trigger on our bell, performing additional dashing strikes to other primed targets in range if your first target was stunned. That could have good synergizing effects with our bell. Heavy stunning an enemy with this skill grants you a buff that causes your quarterstaff attacks to also fire projectile. I think we're doing this. That sounds like that has some interesting potential, at the very least. Then, that means there's no elemental aspect to this. What does the projectile look? Whoops, see daisy. The projectile look like? Pierces all targets. With quality, it would have a chance to blind, which actually indirectly could be very helpful, because there are some nodes on the tree that give you huge additional crit chance against blinded enemies, so that is food for future thought. Let's just see. For now, so we do have some elemental damage, so it wouldn't be a great idea. Brutality. Rapid attacks doesn't make that much sense when they're only going to be able to do one round of it. Would this work? I don't know. You can ancestrally boost it. Oh no, it only works for slams you use yourself, so no. Otherwise, if that did work, it'd be pretty crazy. What about, since we're looking at some stun-related things, are there any secondary effects for triggering a stun that could be worth pursuing? Endurance charge when heavily stunning non-unique enemy. would give us quite reliable endurance charge generation, though wasn't really planning on that. Skills aftershock when they heavily stun an enemy, damaging other enemies within. That sounds interesting. Wait, what is the hollow form? Staggering palm. That's what I want that to work on. Oops. Just wasn't sure if I was seeing it there. Tempest Flurry, Siphoning Strike, Quarterstaff Strike, Killing Palm. Not seeing it. But it may just be that the game is a little bit confused about how Hollow Form works with the UI. I don't think I'm seeing anything else. I am intrigued. If that works, that could be incredible. Guard per strength, you stun an enemy, gain additional 4 guard. For 10 strength if heavily stunning. Pin instead of stun. I don't know if that works actually. Okay, supports melee attacks. Use yourself. Oh, doesn't work for that either. If we were planning on using some triggered spells, this could actually be very good. Although it's only 30% increased, which is not nearly the number I would have expected to have seen. Let's try the impact shockwave. I am very curious if that works. Will you let me do this? You will. Oh, I'm very intrigued. Okay. Suddenly, this looks very cool. So we have the shock waves happening. What else do we? Ooh, charge-based stuff. Oh boy. Heightened charges could be insane. Or there's one that makes it less likely for you to use charges. Yeah. Perpetual charge could be helpful as well. Obviously, we don't really know just yet how easy or difficult it will be to sustain those charges before really testing it out, but let's maybe go for the greedier option in that case and do the heightened charges. There is a heightened charges too, isn't there? I think there was. Maybe not?
Is this
Why into
Okay, yes, it's a gateway. I don't know if we had to have this conversation, to be honest with you, but here we go. What's up, Captain Fuzzy? Been trying crit hit build with the bell. Not been working so far. It's still early stages for me, so I can't really say just yet whether it's going to work. But I think the tricky thing is that with... Yeah, you have perfect crit chance against the bell, but that doesn't directly do anything for the other enemies. So you kind of need to find other secondary effects that proc when you crit. Otherwise, you're just hitting an inanimate object. And that doesn't really do you any good. Also, what level is this area? Oh! Oh, this is not a lower level zone. I was gonna say, I was surprised when we started taking a decent chunk of damage. That also explains why we ended up getting this level relatively quickly. Okay, so do we need this? I don't know. I don't think we rush for it at this stage. We got this guy, we got this guy. And this is where it starts to become a question of pathing, which I've not yet calculated the most efficient way to do it is. So in some ways, this is the safest pick. And then even if we don't really need the duration, after 3 points, you get up to crit damage if you've gained a power charge recently, which should be pretty regularly for us, plus the +1 maximum power charge. So for 3 points, that feels like that's not great value, but if you consider that we didn't have to travel at all to get there, then maybe that's still kind of okay. Actually, speaking of travel, what if we just go and nab this jewel socket? Obviously, we need 1 more point still, but maybe that's okay. Let's see, just attribute-wise, I think we're probably looking at Dex being the thing that we need most for quarterstaff pickups. This is where I was going, right? Just waiting for the bell. Upgrades at normal. Oh, admittedly, I did not really plan for this. Upgrades normal or magic equipment item into rare item. With 4 random mod. Oh, it's alchemy. Can we get the orb instead? Please, sir. Can I have the orb? So like here, even if I'm just bobbing and weaving and dodging, eventually they're gonna start hitting my my clones. In doing so, they're gonna drop power charges, and that way we can still sustain power charges even without directly attacking them. Which is usually what you would have to do, I've found, at least at this stage, against bosses. But obviously, ooh, we're hoping that that changes soon. Possibly as soon as right now. Shall we do this? Ow. Yeah, remember when I said that we have basically no defenses? I will remind you that we have basically no defenses. I will also remind you that this was a higher level zone than I expected it to be. The one downside with the power charges that get dropped on the ground is they do not stay there for long. So, Regal Workbench. Yeah. Did they remove the ability to turn it into an orb? I mean, I know it wasn't every time that they let you do that, but maybe I've just been spoiled, assuming that it was every time. So, I think is this a room that we got all the way up to rank 3? Or was it the room that we were just in? We have a bunch of a certain type of room up to rank 3. That didn't really feel like a rank 3 room. An enemy? No. are kind of... I think it's these are the rooms that are rank 3. What? Still a rare in here somewhere? Didn't say room complete. Yeah, not so. One moment, please. Excuse me. I was not ready for you yet. Excuse me, sir. The other thing is that it is a very slow attack, Falling Thunder. So if you are truly just standing right on top of an enemy, then you're kind of inviting them to wail on you. And it does mean that I have gotten stunned many, many times with this character, oftentimes to my death. Now, that would have been a fitting time to have gone down, except that was not the context that I was referring to on that occasion. We were not really stunned that time. Oh, I don't think I was supposed to be able to do that, was I? Oh!
I shall give you the fight you seek.
We have a bows in here. Did not expect that. Was this, what rank was this room? Maybe I should have paid a little bit closer attention to how we set things up. There's a good example of... don't think I was stunned there, but it just took an eternity to actually use the skill that I wanted to use, so... I got hit several times. Or the enemy did. On this occasion, usually that'd be the type of situation where it'd be tough to sustain the power charges against this guy. But the bells are actually really helping in that regard. Just a bunch of regal stuff. Is that that is the tier of life flask that I'm currently on. Mine's decent. I don't know that we need them.
Soldiers of skill, but no soul.
Well, that actually, I think, was a tier 3 room as well. If I remember correctly, that was one of the ones that set some of these into tier 3. Oh, that's a rare. Okay, I did not realize that. There we go. Hello, friends. If you're feeling bold, you can try to line up some of the enemies when you have all the power charges so that you can get a really big hit. Take out as many enemies as possible. With that. It's pretty crazy how far we jump sometimes for it, which again, at least at the moment, hasn't been a problem, but I can see a world in which it would be. I'm sure there will be a time when that does lead to a death. I will not be as pleased in that case to find myself teleporting all over. They actually can make you move faster. Obviously, it depends where exactly it spawned in, but
I carry few
can
possessions.
be useful. Now, we have a whole bunch of regals that we can use here. It's not a horrible base to start from. That isn't either, to be honest. I wish the base was a little bit better than 45 in both cases. It's not horrible either. Okay, maybe we do have some tools to work with at this stage, after all. We'll finish the last room, or last few rooms. Those were the big ones there. And then... Oh, actually, wait, hold on. Oh, for a second I thought that was that icon. I was like, huh? Our character said, "You're mine." I really heard that as, "Your mom!" I was very confused for a second.
I must maintain a fine balance.
Entryway. This
Born to serve,
is the workshop.
destined only for destruction.
It has a bunch of the constructs, but other than that, is there anything particularly notable about this room? Can you really tell? Temple complete, but does have a crafting bench of some... Oh, it's an exalted bench. Okay. Well, we might have just enough stuff here to potentially craft something decent. We can regal a few times. And then... Oh, we can alch as well. I forgot about that. Forgot about the alch. Okay. And, you know, in a later stage, we probably wouldn't be all that concerned about what is, in the grand scheme of things, not the biggest types of crafting resources that we're using here, but we're early enough in the process. It may make some sense. Gloves are pretty good. Less concerned about upgrading those. The chest plate, it's okay. It's a little underleveled. Boots are going to be tough, because hitting movement speed is going to be hard. So I think we go for you. Let's see what we get. A horrible cold res roll. That's not really what I was... Oh, also we would need to augment first anyway. Oops. Or to be efficient, at least. Okay, so, you know, let's remind ourselves how basic crafting works. Or at least for that one, yeah, because we only had one roll on the magic. So, like, okay, here, do this. Yep, probably not interested after all. This. What do we get? The mana? Not that impressed. There's a low-level quarterstaff. Low base, at least, quarterstaff, unfortunately. So, to tell you the truth, I don't really know if there's much else here we care about. Care about crafting. Sure, because we can. Means it'll be worth slightly more when we vendor it, but it is going to get vendored, and is that really worth taking the time to do? No, not really. But I'll head over to the exalted spot, because that one... I mean, we could do that with even some of the gear we currently have equipped, which is almost certainly going to be the better solution, to be honest. Let's go here. Let's see. So, if we were to exalt, this does not have room for an exalt. This does. I might be interested in doing that. It'd be, what, a prefix? Yeah. Okay. It's like flat evasion energy shield. Probably be the thing that we'd be most interested in seeing. This could also be exalted. It has good movement speed, but that's... The other stuff is small enough. It's not really making that big of a difference, so I'm not as committed to you. Don't really want to invest that much more in it. Could exalt you. I'd probably rather exalt. Let's do this one. we get? Is it that int? I don't even remember. Is int? No, it should have been a prefix. Oh, it was more evasion energy shield, wasn't it? Oh, I think a fair bit more at that. That was quite good. I wish I was paying closer attention to see exactly how much we got from that, but that's pretty much the best we could have asked for. Okay. Oh, right, because I was focusing so much on this before. I wasn't even looking at the one that we currently had equipped. It's the same base item, but yeah, the one we had equipped was better, and certainly now is even better still. Okay, so that was worth something. Nice.
And
How
indeed. Good luck.
Yes.
Hey.
Vendor some of this stuff, though. Looting things that we just crafted. +4 level of cold skills is something, but still don't think that's good enough. Nice elemental damage to attacks, but then you don't have any elemental damage on the weapon. There's our very nice, shiny 2-mod rare.
Until
Tier
next time.
13 skill, I think, is actually higher than what we have most of our stuff. We used a little bit of the new ascendancy skill when combined with staggering palm, but not a ton of it. Actually, siphonic. Wait, most of the stuff is 13. No. Point Thunder's 13. Nothing else is, though. Why is it not showing? It was staggering palm. Yeah, and it's 12. Okay. I don't think I'm going to prioritize that just yet, because we're not as certain how useful that is. Let's instead go... I think the incremental value you get from more levels is higher on Siphoning Strike, since it actually deals meaningful damage, whereas Killing Palm, it's mostly just there for the cull and power charge generation. The direct damage is not great. I mean, it's leveled up enough that it's half decent, but I think there's more to be gained from leveling up the other stuff. Okay. Now, why don't we... I think we're headed over here for the end of Act 4. Yeah, we could go to Plunder's Point. I don't know that that makes a huge difference at this stage. Yeah, sure. It would mean that we'd have more opportunities to pick up gear, which obviously we do still have some room for improvements there. But is that really... Well, one thing I actually want to do first, and that is one of the other quest rewards that I deliberately waited to cash in. Which you may have noticed.
Welcome.
Rog has this exclamation point above his head.
What's
a
that?
treasure of the
That is
sea.
because I still have the
That's
pearl.
not just-
I deliberately did not give him because I was wondering if I was wondering if by delaying cashing in this quest, if I could get this to be a higher item level. I was hoping that it was going to be based on our character level, but clearly it is not.
I accept this.
Consider
Very
this-
well may still end up being
Until
our new amulet, though. It is a very good implicit, and this is the only way you can get this implicit. Accuracy, energy shield, rarity, +2 level of all melee skills, chaos resistance, damage taken recouped as life. That's an interesting one. We would lose a little bit of attributes, some lightning res is probably, and some life. We lose life, we gain the same amount of energy shield, so that's not a huge deal. Oh, and actually, with the elemental resistance implicit, we're only losing a tiny bit of lightning resistance on net. So yeah, this is definitely... Oh, no, I forgot the implicit on our existing amulet. Okay, so sure, we are losing life. And we do not make up for all that with energy shield. We make up for half of that. But get the chaos res, which we don't have any of right now, so that would be kind of nice. The +2 level of melee skills, that's the big boost. Actually, I want to see what that says damage-wise that does for us. Quite a bit. quite a bit. Might hold on to this still, just in case. This we cash in with Danig, which I was holding off on because I wasn't sure if there was going to be an obvious resistance that we still needed to plug up with a specific type of rune. We may have enough runes now that we could do that without his assistance. 18%, up to 18%. Incremental lightning, which we could do if we were to sacrifice cold, which I am pretty sure I accidentally put on a cold resistance rune here when I meant to put on either a lightning or a fire one. Technically, the highest tier lightning would be overkill on this occasion as it currently stands, but obviously giving us a little bit of flexibility on the resistances going forward would be kind of nice. And then we do have a few more options here. We have the resistance ones, but we could also do armor, evasion, energy shield, which with our newly improved gloves, I'd still think the chestplate that benefits most from that, right? Life, probably be the most intriguing alternative if we don't really need resistances, but we probably would just... well, I'm gonna take this.
Survive.
Don't know that we had any of those. We didn't. And then I'm going to use our second best lightning one, because it's still a little bit overkill. Gives us a tiny bit of wiggle room, but it does save our one really high tier lightning option. Just in case. And there we go. Tapped across the board, and even Chaos Res. We have a little bit going on there as well. This is an item that you would cash in as a quest reward on the island that we now need to go to that has been super corrupted and everything. So I don't remember how that works at this stage.
What? Where to?
We could go here. One could argue that we ought to go here. You know, sure, we'll do it. What's up, Jer? How's it going? Percent on the... Wait, sorry, your message is getting cut off slightly. What is that rest of that word? Percentage on the gloves jumped from 32 to 98. Just took a quick look back. Yeah, that's pretty good. In that case, thank you for checking, Chair. I mean, looking at these gloves now, that's the only knock against them really is the lower base of the item. Sure, some of the numbers you'd like to see be a little bit higher, but you know, for a leveling pair of gloves, that's pretty much ideal.
All right. We've arrived.
And I thought I had remembered
Yes, you'll see.
something either in one of the patch announcements or in the patch notes themselves saying that they have reworked this encounter specifically, or this league mechanic altogether. I don't remember.
Nothing like now.
Enlighten me.
Make but.
What do you...
When you're ready, farewell.
Okay, so shall we take a look? Uniques. Right there. Admittedly, I have not done very many of these. Don't make great sense what we want to prioritize. The currency obviously catches my attention. There are a few currency spots over there. What is... Oh? Wait a second. Huh? Do you have an option to turn it off if you go to N before the corruption? Wait, I forget what we were talking about in this case. Oh, turn it in. Yes, definitely if you go before, you can turn it in. And that's typically how I've done it in the past. So I just don't know if it's already been corrupted. I mean, after the fact, once you've already completed the main quest in Act 4, I assume at that point you could turn it in, but I don't really think that that area is in a state for us to redeem the quest at the moment. But what I'm wondering right now is, okay, I'm seeing these rune stones. And do we have to go here with the explosives to use this? Or can we do this regardless, no matter what. So if we don't have to target those, that'd be nice. There's several of them. There. They're kind of very evenly distributed. Otherwise, currency spots there. We don't have enough explosives to go all the way around. If we were to go, I mean, unique looks interesting. To be honest, it's probably going to be a junk leveling unique that is not even good for leveling, so I'm not sure that we necessarily need to prioritize that. It is right next to the starting area, though, so it's not a huge effort to pick that up. If we go, like, thinking, start there, and maybe we skip that currency one, but we go here to this currency, then we go through the middle. We're there to blow things up. It's true. But if we didn't have to blow all this stuff up, like, can I just ignore these guys and yet still do them? That would be awesome. So I'm thinking we go down this way, pick up this currency, then you go up through the middle. Maybe we blow this one up at a minimum. Get this currency, blow you up, and if we still have enough, we can go here. I'm thinking we do that. And that prioritizes currency and, to an extent, these guys as well. It does not get much of anything for armor or weapons, which generally, in a vacuum, I would say is a pretty decent trade-off. At this stage of the game where we actually could stand to benefit from picking up good leveling items, you could make a case for going this way and just getting a crazy amount of the weapons in particular, it looks like. So, but obviously if we end up getting a bunch of low currencies, then we're going to feel a little bit silly for having done this, and that is somewhat likely to be the case. But maybe we will try it nonetheless. Let's see if we go here.
This should be interesting.
I'm not entirely sure just how far... Oh, do they not have modifiers at all in this encounter? Ooh, I thought that was going to be able to go further. Mess with you. Here. I do want to hit this because it's one of the few spots where we can get just straight up items. Go further down. Still getting you. Then we can do this. And yeah, I don't think we're gonna go there. We still have a decent number though. I feel like we're making pretty good pace. Can we go here and then double back and go through the middle is what I'm wondering. It's not gonna cost us that much more to do it. What? 1, 2 to actually get there. 3 to double back, and then 4 and we're starting to go in. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Obviously, that's super rough estimate. No, I had no basis for how far apart I was estimating those things would be. But just trying to get a feeling for... Could we actually make that happen? What if we go here? Okay, so that pains me. That does pain me. We could do this. I'm suddenly far less optimistic. And nor did I mean to do that. Now we go here. Please stop clicking on that. I don't know how I even did from that angle. But it's just every time I finish placing one now, it makes that happen. Strange. Get you? Oh, that I did not remember that being a thing. That explodes and creates a larger circle. Now, does that do us much good? can help us blow that up, but we were already likely to be in range for that. Does it extend how far we can go in this direction? I don't know that it does. Was hoping to do this. That. And so that's painful, because that's a little bit of us doubling back. We have 5 more. 4. 3. That's unfortunate. 2 more. I don't know if we can make this to the other currency spot. Maybe we can. Yeah, we should be able to. Could even make it there if we wanted to instead. Go for the double. Try to get as many of the enemies spawning in as well if we can. Just like that. Okay, I guess that's what we're going for. Do we specify these in advance? Is that why it keeps on popping up here? That one has 4. Okay. Let's see. Good strength, fire resistance on that rune. I am actually a little bit tempted by the 6 blacksmith whetstones, at least for leveling purposes. That is quite useful. Our current our quarterstaff is maxed out quality-wise, but we probably have enough right now that rather have this. I don't know what the status on our desert rune specifically is, but okay, I think that will do. Now, if it turns out that you didn't need to go over here to blow these guys up to activate them, then I am going to feel a little bit silly, but based on how I think we had 3 of those windows pop up, and I'm pretty sure that we had exactly 3 that we hit, seems like that would check out. Whereas if we try to do this, will it let us? Probably not. We'll see. So yeah, we prioritized the currency, which I feel like is probably a little bit of a... It probably seems better than it actually is. But also, did our unique chest not give us any uniques? I'm pretty sure that's exactly what just happened. Unless that was it, but doesn't look like it. Oh, hello. That's rare. Okay, noted. Some of those guys might actually be from the league encounter. Getting kind of close to that spot. Okay, that was one of the currency spots. Got what I know we still don't have a loot filter on. I'm sorry. Make it a little bit easier to assess just how big the currency is. I think I saw a regal there. Might have been the highest one. Okay, now this is the spot. Oh, that was one of the item spots. That was quite good. Maybe it would have been better to have prioritized that stuff after all. But this is the spot where... Okay, this... Ow. Stop that. guys are pretty nasty. They have a lot of range. And that's where, you know, could I have found myself accidentally teleporting into that? Possibly. Well, that was, I think, one of the currency ones, and it did give us an exalt, so that's something. The guaranteed good fire res one. Oh no, that worth stopping for every possible magic item. Have some chaos res now, unlike before. Still doesn't mean that I'm looking forward to face tanking that guy, but also rather not get shocked. Excuse me. The character explained what these new circles are around you, these spheres. I don't appreciate them, as they appear to be protecting you in some way, shape, or form. Is it a proximity shield? It might be. Rather unfortunate. Ooh, that was almost dangerous. I don't like that guy. That guy's strong. I've seen those faces several times before, and they're pretty tricky. And it's a rare. It doesn't help. It's a non-rare version. He was still in the proximity circle, wasn't he? That one I also almost accidentally. I think I did hit him on that actually. Three hit, 4 hit combo, basically every time. So that's the good, and then the melee attack here, I guess. But he's gullible. There we go. So yeah, that, as you can see, if for whatever reason there are enemies who can negate some of our abilities, our ability to get power charges or make it hard for our projectiles to hit them, that can make it a lot more challenging to deal meaningful damage to them. So that does get tough.
Meet the dreamer.
Should be one more of the currency spots down here, I think. Was that it? Oh, there's... No, actually, there were two. That was one of them. Another Regal, which I know by endgame standards is maybe not a huge deal, although early on, it actually is pretty significant.
Greyclass does not give up
Excuse me?
its secrets easily.
Oh, is that the new place for the League mechanic? Kind of like what we saw in Act 3 that we doubled back to? That's the currency spot. That's not great. I mean, it does kind of feel like the item spots were the best, to be honest. Obviously, we haven't ID'd any of those things, but if we wanted to, we could spend a bunch of time IDing absolutely everything, vendoring absolutely everything, or holding on to and crafting stuff. Might double back to just pick up those rares.
How come?
I don't think we'll go with all the magic stuff.
Need some. Let's equip you for the journey.
Good lightning res. Some life as well. A little bit of resistance, a little bit of life. But one of those things where if the numbers were higher, this would look really good. Unfortunately, all of the numbers are low. Makes it much harder to get excited about that. It's not something that is easily fixable. This, our helmet, is a little outdated. We don't have the strength to do this at the moment, but we would gain cold res, we'd lose lightning. Get crit chance, which would be nice. That is, as you might imagine, the best thing offensively we could get from a rare helmet. Might still be vendoring that.
I think I know someone who needs this.
Minion skills might be good for some people, but definitely not for us. Same exact base. Arguably is better or close to it. Ours just has quality and rune sockets in it. I think it's, you know, marginal at best, so
Deal.
not going to bother investing in it. You gain a lot of life. Lightning, cold res. The other stuff, eh. With quality, the energy shield, it's still not going to be as high, I don't think. But the huge life does probably more than make up for that. Probably still going to vendor it, though, to be honest. Thank you.
Here's your gold.
So, an Exalt, a few Regals, that rune, which... We have other big desert runes? Already lost track of where it was. Thought it was desert. Oh, we did. Okay, well... Not the end of the world. Hold on to this, just in case. Okay. Just quickly take a peek. These guys. Yes, since we can get the inventory space for those, we will. And then, so we heard there's apparently an area we're supposed to investigate. Enter the deserted post. Oh, I see it.
I must
We're at
maintain
it.
a fine balance.
To the extent we can. I did not realize there's a way through like that. That might have been helpful.
You make no well on
It was
your
quite
way.
low.
We'll wait.
Overseas.
Yeah.
Farewell.
Through here. What is this? Yeah, similar to what we just saw in Act 3. Ooh, that was... Not expecting that. Oh, nor was I expecting that. Okay, we might be learning a little bit more about these enemies. Like deliberately fights them over so you can more consistently get a whole bunch of them, that stuff. Don't like that. Please do not hit me with your gigantic sword spawn thing. Oh, that's where I would have stood to benefit from picking up some more power charges in advance. You're all lined up like that. There's good potential. Ooh, need the power charges. Capitalize on. Well, that's actually not the way. That's just lore. Not to diminish that. I feel like I would be interested in hearing it on a later occasion, but at least for now.
I carry few possessions, and I don't have room for that.
Buried knowledge. My kind of buried treasure. Now then, look here.
One other thing to note as I was leveling up and progressing through the campaign off stream was, although I have not done any crafting with the Verisium stuff, I've deliberately been holding back on that stuff. There were several points throughout the campaign where there were artifacts, I guess you could say, basically monuments, or not even basically, if you've played The Witcher 3, places of power, that we uncovered in like 3 or 4 spots per act, where you summon Pharaoh, he goes, "Oh, look at that," and then he goes away. And so it's kind of similar to this dynamic here. This just feels a little more significant because this is in a dedicated area, whereas those other ones in the campaign were just squeezed into pre-existing areas.
A third tome. What do we have this time? Volume 3, the Triskelion. To repair their broken unity, the Runefathers forged the Triskelion Flame, a monumental achievement of exquisite craftsmanship. The Runefathers toured Midgard with their creation. It demanded hope. It whispered a promise. It healed the people's aching hearts left in the absence of Aldur. The Triskelion was returned to the capital, where the Runefathers kept it as a bastion of harmony for all Midgard.
It sounds spectacular indeed. Assuming it does all they say it does.
I feel we're close to finishing this story. Let's keep on the trail. I suppose we could get moving now.
Okay. What does this one give us? Runic inscription unlock? Or, was it runes? I looked away right as the important part, I was about to see the important part. Okay, but maybe that means this was a little bit more significant than we had originally thought. I was going to log in and play some more, but this computer is heating up your room so much. Oh dear.
Speak. How can... Welcome.
Melting right now. Oh dear. Yeah, no worries, Jared. Thanks for
Here's what
stopping
I've
by. Good to see ya. I totally understand. My PC does become a furnace at times as well.
Marvel of commerce.
Ooh, that's not a bad crafting base, although our gloves, as we were saying before, are very good. Be hard to beat them. It technically does have potential to do it. It has a better life roll, that slightly worse crit damage roll, but that's not horrible. The minion skills doesn't make a lot of sense for us, but...
Oh, I'll gladly take that off your hands.
Oh, and also, what was... Is this better than our current one? Our staunching one? Probably is. And throw augment on it, obviously. Okay, I don't love the mana gain on use, but the increased charges gained versus additional chance to gain a charge when you kill an enemy. So, functionally, those are the same thing, are they not? Increased charges gained and chance to gain... I don't remember if you can gain multiple charges per enemy. It's also not letting me stop to look. I'm holding the button that's supposed to let me mouse over that, but okay. That would have been how I would double check. But I think that means that this basically just has better sustain. Aside the life, I would have preferred to the mana, but oh well. Okay, and might chuck this in here. I'd be kind of happy. I'll throw this in the guild stash if anyone wants to use it as a crafting tool. Okay, let's see. So this I've never clicked on, but this is the way that you actually use the Verisium. Reforges any non-unique armor to grant runic ward. Upgrades unique armor and base weapon base types. Huh. Okay. I feel like we should least try this with something, just for the sake of it. What does this say? What is the difference? I wish I could do the comparison. Cost 95 for Berisium, and we don't need to have it in our inventory, which I do appreciate. But I feel like I have to go line by line to see this. It gains 27 runic ward. Okay, I think that's main and potentially only thing. Does kind of make sense. That's the main mechanic supposed to come with that stuff. So obviously I've not had any runic ward yet. Just want to double check. How much of this stuff do we have? And therefore, how stingy do we have to be with it? Can we throw it on whatever we want? Or do we need to save it for very specific use cases? Like, this is very well rolled, but it is level 45 base, and we're at level 54 right now. So, technically speaking, we could find ourselves replacing it in the not-so-distant future. We just don't have a lot of stuff that is gonna be sticking around for much longer. Similar story with the quarterstaff, even more so, was well rolled, but level 28 base, and we're level 54. Practically doubled the level of this thing. So, one would like to believe in the near future we could find ourselves getting a better base. Let's do this, just so we can say we've given it a shot. And actually, I would be kind of interested to see. Here is challenges and achievements. We just had something pop up here suggesting that we made progress on one of these things, but I've not been looking at it at all. Scribe runes from your tome at runic remnants using each of these lengths. So the League mechanic, do longer versions and more difficult versions of the League mechanic. Apparently it can go even higher than 7. So in time, we'll get there. Then this one, use these, but kill these optional bosses in the campaign. I think they're listed. I assume they're listed in chronological order. Are these both in the interlude acts? It might be. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4, double in interlude. We'll get there eventually as well. Ascend 4 times. Obviously, we did a little bit of that. Reach level 90. Oh, that's actually super easy. Made a little bit of progress on that, but, I mean, in time, there will be a bunch of cheapo uniques you could purchase and, you know, weak leveling stuff that nobody needs anymore, and you could just farm this up in basically an instant. So that I'm not concerned. And, you know, in due time, it'll absolutely just, we'll find ourselves getting that done. Craft an item using each of these Verisium ingredients. So we use Verisium itself. Oh, okay. So as time goes on, we may get more advanced versions. Photographer, I assume this is something having to do with completing maps. Fully allocate the main Atlas passive tree. Oh, fully allocate. I know that has been changed quite significantly with this expansion, but that's potentially still a lot. Now, of course, generally speaking, at least in PoE 1, whenever there have been these challenges, this is the first time they've done it for PoE 2, but they're more or less put in order of how long/difficult it is to get them. So, with probably a few exceptions, but once you get toward the last couple, they are probably quite a bit more time-consuming. In PoE 1, that is very much the case. The list is longer of the total number of challenges, or at least it's been a little while for me, but it used to be, at the very least. So there's a lot of time for them to ramp up from one challenge to the next. This one, kill endgame pinnacle bosses. Let's love Kulamok at full strength. That's the Abyss dude. And these guys might both be new. I don't recognize their name, at least. So can't really speak how difficult those would be. Okay. So yeah, I mean, early on, usually you don't really have to put much of a conscious effort into progressing those things. You're gonna probably get a few of them just by making your way through the campaign. And then, once you get into endgame, it may start to require you to pay a little bit closer attention. So now the Runic Ward is 27, and basically, it's like an extra layer of defenses that functions very similarly to an energy shield. It just gets hit. It goes... Energy shield is the first thing that takes damage, then life, then ward. And I don't remember if ward has any recharge, delay, reduction when you get hit or anything like that. I don't remember reading anything along those lines. So I think it just is constantly, gradually going back up, kind of like life regeneration. And so if you lose all of your life and energy shield, but you still have runic ward, then it means you do live. But obviously with only 27, that's not making that much of a difference. It's a little bit. Okay, now... Ooh.
You angry?
Now things could get tough. Because we're going into the final boss area for this act. And I do not like this boss. I remember... I mean, obviously, Act 4 is... It's still relatively new, I guess you could say. So I haven't fought this guy that much in the campaign. But the first time I did so, when he was initially released, I feel like he was... Maybe he was not very strong, or maybe I was just overpowered. I would like if you would let me attack these things.
But blood on the wind.
I know my character has a monologue, but... There we go. Just want my power charges, please? You're not allowed to do anything out here. Only in here. That's actually kind of mean. Because I know that there's going to be a powerful rare right here. I'm deliberately trying to power up before he can hit me. You're kind of preventing me from doing that, which I didn't appreciate. Ow. Bleed. I think he always has bleed. Is he dead? He's not dead. Dude, go down. Thank you. Actually, this... What does the higher level of Lingering Illusion do? Oh, I have noticed that at times it allows you to get 2 power charges rather than just 1, and I always just assumed that was something like, oh, technically your decoy illusion got hit twice and therefore it created 2. But I guess no, it was more just random chance. So I honestly didn't even realize it cost mana. I think we probably will just upgrade it. Herald of Thunder is already up to that level. Or no, we actually don't have enough decks for it. Curiosity. We're not that close to it either. We'll just do this then. So yeah, this would be the place where we would turn in that quest item that we were talking about before. As we can see, don't exactly think that's going to work right now. And as I was starting to say before, the very first time I fought this boss, that we are at least on our way toward getting to, we still have a ways to go. Nice currency drop as well. But, I think we had a fairly comfortable time fighting him. Then, I think either the previous character in the previous league or the first character in the previous league, I was struggling against him. To the point where I think I just, stopped really focusing in on the mechanics and instead was just sort of trying to brute force my way through, which, as you might imagine, probably backfired in many ways. But I say this because I do not know how we are going to fare. That guy is rare. There we go. Kind of like to at least get up to 55 before we get there. And maybe once we do, we'll just kind of zoom through a bit. Yeah, the upcoming boss does a ton of damage. At least, certainly, in his latter phases. And as I was saying before, we do not have much life / defenses. So we can definitely find ourselves getting into a lot of trouble there. Also, just double check. I thought there was an abyss. Guaranteed abyss in this zone? There is, yeah. Okay. Theoretically, might be worth keeping an eye out for that. Remembered that we have that ability, and I used it for a brief moment there, maybe not in the most opportune of times, but it exists. This. Okay, cool. Also, don't get annihilated by all the enemies while I'm doing it. That probably wouldn't help. Checkpoint. Oh, okay. Well, that's the exit. Don't really want just yet. Did just get the level that I was referring to before. Oh, right. We were working our way toward this, which does mean we have to double back. Okay, here's the abyss. That's one of the things we were looking for. And then I thought I also just remembered there being another area. Hello, Cole. Another area that has some kind of guaranteed loot drop of some variety. I don't remember exactly what it is, but I also might be mixing it up with the next area. Good time to get some more charges. I could use some of those. That's gonna be a crowded spot. That's where the abyss really is. Ooh, and some strong box as well. Yes, this area is a little bit spicy. In short. Ow. Did that nearly kill us? I mean, I was already about to hit the flash button, so I may have looked like I had ridiculous reaction time. No, that was just because I was anticipating it. It's a coffer. Which usually means that gives lots of currency. One transmute. It's not really what I had in mind, though. Oh, there's a no. Oh, hold on. Okay. Is this one? This one might be guaranteed to give abyssal depths. That might be a thing here. Guessing I walked into some of that stuff before, and that's why we took a big burst of damage. Who's left? Oh, you are. And, oh, there's a lot more over there. Oh, up. Yeah. You can see how the bells are proving to be quite helpful when it comes to chaining together some of this stuff. in a way that actually would not be as meaningful if we were to go for the version that just automatically attaches to our back. At least thus far, it does seem like it might have been the right idea to refrain from taking that one and instead go for the channeling one, which I know I haven't used much of yet, but let's see. Hold on, what do we have here? Quarterstaves, increased immobilization buildup, gain life on hit with attacks, mana on hit with attacks as well. You're hitting an enemy, gain maximum added cold damage equal to the enemy's power for 20 seconds up to a total of 32. I do kind of like that. Dodge roll distance and or blast charge generation. Oh, but it has to go on a weapon. That's unfortunate. Increase movement speed while sprinting. Not base movement speed. I don't know about that. Creates a magic item to a rare item. Oh, yeah, that's a regal orb. That's... I think we're pretty familiar with what that is. I don't know which one the best is here. Yeah, obviously, it might be this. It applies to quarterstaves, which certainly catches my attention since that is what we're using right now, so why not? Spawn in, move that up. Well, you're giving enemies from the abyss as well? Wow. And a little hectic here. It's a bit hectic here. That's a big dude. There's still more abyss enemies over there. Okay, so what if I do this? I don't know if it's better than using a powered up version of this. I would think for single target damage, that's probably still better. Another wave. This was theoretically a fairly big one, so I guess that makes sense. Oh. Apparently we got the last enemy. I did not realize that, but we'll take it.
Find.
Okay, yeah. So I thought I remembered this being a guaranteed abyssal depths. Another coffer, that one also not great. This first, maybe? Oh, well, that's not great. Had a brief freeze like this once or twice, but never to this extent before, with this new league at least, new expansion. So it seemed like they had made some improvements in that regard, but no, this is obviously not great. Usually it kicks us out at this point. Might be about to do that. Okay. That's infuriating. It's supposed to have the game paused when we freeze like that. And, well, it wasn't, or it was paused until we could see stuff, and then it wasn't. And I kind of anticipated that that might have happened, because I could hear some sounds that suggested that enemies were moving. So maybe I should have proactively started running just to avoid getting hit by that stuff. Not getting hit by the enemies that I, of course, couldn't see. Just be purely a guessing game, but needless to say, that was not what I wanted to see. The Abyssal Depths is still there. As I said, that's technically... Oh, maybe the Strongbox is guaranteed as well, because that is still there as well, or at least a version of the Strongbox is. Or has the Abyssal Depths gone away? says Abyssal Depths, but it may have closed up. I don't know. The game is probably very confused right now.
Something rare lies
Ow, ow, ow. Oh, now there's a spirit here. Okay. Why not? I guess. Spirit's going this way. Sure. Why not? I can think of a few reasons why not, but... Oh, it's going to the essence. Just add more League mechanics in. I mean, theoretically, cool. Just, you know, the reason why we find ourselves in this situation in the first place is because one of our other League mechanics got messed up last time. So, kind of a strange situation we find ourselves in. Excuse me, why are you not getting hit? That's illegal. Now, with things like an essence, do deliberately make sure you're on full power charges, and then try to just immediately wipe them out. It didn't really go according to plan. But, second attempt, we got it. Ooh, that actually might be a new base for quarterstaffs. In which case, I'm very interested. Hold on. I don't recognize that name. Is that the next one?
Maintain a fine balance.
I think it is. Would be very good timing if, in fact, it is, and we can craft one of those into something decent. Color me intrigued. I don't know if it's possible to get our Abyss back. It looks like, despite there theoretically being Abyssal Depths listed on the map, it may just be gone. That was kind of the intention of lingering here. But maybe instead we'll just head over to the new area. We got some other stuff instead. We got the essence. I didn't even notice which type of essence it was, to be honest. I think in general, running pretty low on good essences, so we'll take it. Ow. Oh, also, little patch note detail that surprised me was they made it so that the player moving while they are bleeding does not increase the amount of damage you take from bleed. When enemies move while they're bleeding, it still does, but for the players, it does not. Just so strange to me, because for so long, that's been just the fundamental identity of bleed. Yes, damage over time, obviously, but specifically, it is based on doing way more damage when something is moving. Obviously, at this point, we're circling back toward the starting section. I basically just chose to keep on fighting some dudes for the sake of picking up a little more XP. Because why not, I guess? I don't know. Now, we'll just head over to where we can get a checkpoint. Theoretically, at least, although I got heavy stunned there, so we're probably dead. So we might as well respawn at the checkpoint anyway. And, oh, well, this takes us to the one that we were looking for. Let's just check one more time if the Abyssal Depths is there. If it says it is, but we did not see it last time. I was very confused about what was happening there at that time. Yeah, the Abyssal Depths appears to be in a location that is not accessible to the player. Well, the Strongbox does still exist, which we were thinking about picking up before. Also, I do not have any flash charges, I am suddenly realizing. Oh, actually, another little thing is I think we have a support... gem on Killing Palm that gives us additional life restoration when we do it. So if you can more regularly hit stuff with Killing Palm, courtesy of the bells, then defensively it actually helps a fair bit. I don't think the bells give blast charges though. That much it does not do. It's you who has a lot of lightning damage and damage in general. Rare is no more, though. The problem with having all these quest items in our inventory, it's a little less now than it was before, but obviously it takes up inventory space that you might rather have used for something else. Don't know if you guys are also from the Strongbox or not. Well, apparently you were. That answers that question.
I must maintain a fine balance.
I don't recognize that name. Maybe I just wasn't reading any of the names very closely. Thought for a second that meant that was going to be higher base. Okay, let's carry on. Maybe we'll quickly head over to town, given all the things that we picked up from the various league mechanics. What's up, Warcrow? How's it going? Lurking a while you play another game? No worries. How much have you been doing of PoE 2, Warcrow?
How can move swiftly?
Doing all right. Let's see. Okay, so this is the higher tier quarterstaff base. 10% base crit. It's not the highest, but it's not 0, and there legitimately is a quarterstaff base that has 0 crit chance. So, better than that. Question is it good enough that even with questionable rolls, it could still surpass our much lower base but well-rolled quarterstaff? Still haven't installed. No, Warcrow.
Need something? I've forged a few fineries.
Ooh, didn't mean to pick that
I
up.
think I know someone who needs this.
Okay, so I know
Let's
neither
equip
of those
you for the
rolls are
journey.
great. Yet, may still attempt to craft them to see if they can surpass our current quarterstaff, given just how low our current quarterstaff, just how low level our current quarterstaff is. This chestplate is quite good. It is also quite expensive. Gives us armor. I honestly have been paying very little attention to whether the armor is giving us armor, evasion, or energy shield. Gives us a decent bit of that, as you would hope from something that is a higher base level. Cold res instead of fire res. Armor applies to elemental damage, life regeneration. We can probably pass on it, to tell you the truth, on closer inspection. More so trying to see if there was any of these base quarterstaffs. Here you go. 0% crit chance, as I was saying. I assume it probably has good, especially good, attack speed and or base damage. And that is because you are sacrificing the crit chance for it. But for us, it just makes no sense to go that route.
No interest. Farewell.
Just out of curiosity, with a basically not crafted at all version of these, yeah, no damage stats on it whatsoever. How much does this number change? A lot. Oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Let's aug this and see if it gets something amazing. It's decent. That's still a pretty monumental change, though. I mean, yes, obviously we can throw quality on it, we can throw increased physical damage on it, guaranteed. So we do still have some ways we can be sure to increase the damage, but then that's not going to be enough in and of itself to catch up with this, I don't think. So that means we would be relying on at least some RNG for crafting purposes. What did we pick up here? Flat physical damage. I mean, that would help, but I would probably rather use this on an item that we are confident we want to use long term, because that could be very useful, rather than force the issue on something that looks likely to be lackluster.
Welcome. What can I do for you? Here's your gold. Farewell.
I'm sure we can push.
It's certain.
Careful on the water.
Okay. I think that means we're heading back in. Anything? I mean, I guess we could check.
Welcome.
Wrong.
Impeccable offerings.
Not really expecting, but that's not a bad evasion roll. It's not going to beat the topaz ring, though, I don't think. That's very nice. That could have been exaltable in the temple. Although, I mean, we had good luck with the exalt, so it's not as if it was wasted. The sapphire gives us a ton of cold res right now. Almost certainly relying heavily on that. Do like the charge regeneration automatically. Oh, we do have that. Okay. Don't have that on our life flask, which for long boss fights can become a factor. Obviously, we are about to find ourselves in that situation, so be a little wary of that. Are capped across the board there. Okay. Yeah, I do still think the upcoming boss may very well be able to one-shot us with potentially multiple different skills. So that does concern me. Just how much it concerns me depends on just how many of his skills can one-shot us. So I'll get back to you on that. Also depends on just how much damage we have. I don't think we're going to have enough damage that we can just delete him. I don't think that's going to happen, given what we were just saying about our weapon being very out of date. I was thinking we'd probably just kind of zoom through this zone to go more or less straight to the boss. Oh. Wait, what? Who are you? I don't remember this guy. This guy? No. But what? But what? Why is there a boss bar? I don't remember this dude. Oh, it's that guy. I know that much. But I do not recall this enemy existing. So I still don't really know what to make of it. Oh, no, it's a rogue exile. That's why. Duh. Okay. That took me way too long to figure that out. That also explains why he has a somewhat strange combination of abilities. I was like, that, I would not have expected this guy to have ice cage things. Please stop. Please stop doing that. Like, you rolled away from me so long that I couldn't steal your shock. That's okay, I'll do it now. Is he about to do an unblockable attack as a rogue exile? That should be illegal.
Duck and cover.
Please stop running. This guy is proving to be way tankier than I would have expected. But there we go. Okay. We at least have an explanation for why that guy exists. Which, admittedly, I was struggling to find at first. I was like, did they add this enemy to the game? This new optional boss? Question mark? That's not, yeah, no, that's not the boss yet. It's like, is this area that short? Oh, that's gonna hurt. I don't remember it being that. I was originally thinking we were gonna settle for our previous level, but I have enough XP. Probably in large part because we farmed the previous zone in the same area with all the league mechanics a few times. Now I am wondering if it makes sense for us to hang around a little bit longer. That's the Rogue Exile sign. He is dead, though. Pretty sure he's dead. I don't really know what Icon is all about at this stage. I would have thought it would go away. Another essence, though, so more of useful league mechanics. And it would have been in the past without the bells. I would have probably, in this situation, needed to have said, okay, let me deliberately keep one of these guys alive until just before I open up the essence. That way we can be sure to have the power charges in time, but now we can take out all the enemies, and then if we don't have power charges up, okay, fine. Just take a second. Wait for the bells. There we go. I think that one is, that's either light. I think it is light. It's the body. Or it's, the core defense stats, which also very helpful. So that's a good one. Ow. That's a lot of enemies here as well. That's fine. The dodge roll power charge generation can prove to be very helpful. Oh, unique strongbox. Oh, I totally forgot that we picked up a jewel socket before, and we didn't make a point of going to pick up a jewel to put in that jewel socket. Well, that might be about to change. We may not need to do that. Once again, just trying to farm up power charges for this. No, you're gonna do that. I'd love to run away. Ow. Your friends do a surprisingly large amount of damage, to be honest. I may have just barely found a way to hide behind that pillar. I am stuck in that corner. It's not so. There we go. Sapphire, Emerald,
I've no room for that.
few rares, which ideally we'd create the space for. So at least some of those things may be worth investigating. I guess I am glad that we at least spent a little bit of time moseying around the area in search of other goodies. Strongbox? Yeah, it does feel like they've made a point of amping up the amount of bonus content of various varieties. I was going to throw a transmute on, but I don't think we have one. An augment and the regal there? Oh, that's not where you want to stand. Play that much. That's rare. It was a rare. Let's probably dump you, pick you up, and then maybe we'll head back to town. We'll see if any of those jewels we just picked up are decent. If not, I think I have probably one that has at least a stat that's helpful in our stash somewhere. So we can break that out and throw that in our new jewel socket. That had movement speed, that'd be decent, but obviously it doesn't, and that would be
Welcome to the Here's the
kind of
gear
big
I've got.
omission not to have it. I probably should have entered it, to be honest,
I think I know someone
rather
who
than
needs this.
salvage it for parts. It has some kind of nice things going for it. I mean, obviously we're not about to use bow ourselves, but just wondering if it's worth trying to flip
Here's
it.
your gold.
Actually wasn't a bad belt for life-related stuff. A lot of spell damage. Ooh, I do like that. As I was saying before, the auto charge regeneration, especially on life flasks, against big bosses is helpful in case the fight really starts to drag on and you aren't terribly disciplined with your flask charges, which, yes, guilty. That is me sometimes, but we would lose our partial instant recovery, which obviously is also very helpful. So we can have one, but we can't have both of those things.
I'll melt
Check
it down.
some of this other stuff.
Find a use.
Not realize. Pick that up. Shield. Minion resistance. Oh yeah, we should give our little clones extra elemental resistance. That makes a ton of sense, right? What was body is its life. Okay. Yeah, so we're starting to accumulate some useful essences again. I was using them a bit for crafting. I don't think we really want to use any of these, to be honest with you. Hoping we have a different ones. I mean, obviously we could augment them and see what happens. There's a chance something more useful pops up in one of the spots. Cover maximum life on kill. I mean, that's something, sort of. Skills people while shapeshifted. Melee damage if you've dealt a projectile attack hit in the past 8 seconds. So, with Falling Thunder, does count as a projectile, I believe. When you are expending the power charges. Yeah. So technically, that does work for that. That is 18% increased damage. Certainly non-zero. Let's see if I happen to have anything in here that's more helpful. This one doesn't really work for us. Crit damage, mana regen, cold pen, damage while shapeshifted. Again, one of those things quite helpful. The other things, not so much. Yeah. This is probably the best option for us. We don't really have great jewels at this stage, do we? Actually, it is this one. This one is the best. Could Regal, although we have such limited Regal supply that I'm hesitant to do. Actually, we picked up a fair bit more as of late. Duration of damaging ailments on enemies. Damaging ailments. We don't have a lot of shock. But for the most part, we're consuming it immediately. That's not a damaging ailment, so even if it were non-damaging ailment duration, I still don't know that it would have helped us that much. Okay, I mean, we tried. It does something with the melee damage if you've dealt projectile hit recently. That's pretty much it. We do need to ask ourselves whether we want to use this. What do we value more? Charge generation over time or insta-procking? 27% is not that much. I'm going to say maybe that doesn't make a huge difference. And we ought to instead just go for the longer approach. The War of Attrition option. Okay, so we picked this up. But now we do have a point to spare. And I think we definitely don't need the power charge duration, given what we've seen with the bells. But eventually, we could get an additional maximum power charge and a little bit of extra crit damage. So there is something to be said for that. If we were to deviate a bit from our all-in on crit idea, we would benefit a lot from some of the shock-related stuff. But I am morally opposed to that on a fundamental level. So how dare you even propose such a thing? Devil's Advocate lids. They're actually... We don't yet have any meta skills, but there is a decent chance that we will use some later on. And the crit chance is for everything. So that's just straight up 10% crit chance. That's a full-blown crit chance node, whereas these ones are half value and half the meta skill stuff. And then eventually if we do end up going... So in the immediate term, I think that actually is still the best option. It's not going to make a dramatic difference, but let's just see. Goes from 40.26 crit chance to 40.82. So like half a percentage crit chance. Not dramatic, but very slight boost. Don't even remember what this was. Oh, it's a strong box. That's. Well, this is one of the sort of optionally side areas that has potentially something in it that's guaranteed. Maybe. Okay, garden. It might just be that it has guaranteed enemies. That might be it. Sapphire Range would also be a good crafting base to work with. Yeah, when we get a ton of those colorful targets, including the bells, we fly around as if we have Flicker Strike. It basically is Flicker Strike. That's what it feels like, at least. Ooh, my brain was not processing there. I'll waltz straight on in. There's 2 raiders over there, actually, I think. You're not one of them. Ow. Got stunned out of using our big slam a few times. Maybe it's just you and you're making everyone all shiny. It seems like it's they have the invulnerability, or at least the boss has the invulnerability. That is the new base quarterstaff that we were hoping we could make work before. We just kept on getting bad stats for them. Well, that remains the case. Kind of wanted to double check. What does it say? Ancestral. Oh no, that's the wrong spot. Obviously, there's boss. Meeting house. That's the place where it says theoretically there's extra loot to be had. I think this is gonna be the boss though. That's just a building that has a particularly large number of loot chests in it, if I remember correctly. That may, I really thought there was an exit there. May or may not be of great interest to us. Ooh. There we go. Hello, sir. This might actually be the bonus spot. Ow. Well, that's a bad place to stand. That's a very poor direction in which to aim that ability. This is supposed to be the meeting house area? I'm not sure that it is. Yeah. Yes. Well, it doesn't seem like it's anything special. Sure if that guy was gonna get hit or not, the big dude. Ooh. That's something. What was that? That's another essence. Wow. Now, granted, did you spend all my power charges? So one moment, please. Did not seem to be particularly bothered by our big hit. There we go. unfortunate. I tried to line them all up so that we could... Ow. Okay, oh my goodness, so many essences. Did I just pin myself in a corner and get myself in a lot of trouble? Yeah, very likely. Ow. Ow. Oh, it's the combination, actually, of an essence and also the rune stuff. I did not even realize it first. Ow. There we go. Alright, well, I guess we're doing it. Here's the actual SNC. Did we get him? Oh, we did. Okay. They're all ads. Probably shouldn't have done that. Use all of our power charges on that. But this is 4. Okay, let's see. Upgrade skill to one of these special skills to 13. We saw that before. I think we did get one of those. We've not tried using it yet. Alright, so these are largely the same options, and that's a less complicated one, so we probably don't want to do that. We'll try another one of these, and that way we have the option of double dipping on it if we decide it's a good idea. Not gonna be the last wave. It's a little crowded with all those things exploding. There we go. Probably pick that up as well. Okay. So yeah, it really just feels like they're giving us way more of these types of things. Oh, and here's the boss. Giving us way more of these types of things than we used to see in the past. Did we technically get the meeting house? We apparently did not, which is kind of what I was looking for. And this zone isn't that much bigger. It seems like it's just up there. Let's go for it. Shouldn't take us too much longer. I think it's this. Ow. Hold on. Please don't volatile me. In my culture, it is actually very rude to volatile someone else. Pretty sure that table just protected that guy. Kind of annoying. Okay, and I'm also, speaking of tables, I got stuck on the table, which forced me to get hit by the volatile. Yeah, so as I was saying before, I think it's mostly just a bunch of gold chests in here, unless that's something? I don't remember what that's just gold, right? I also have, once again, just hit the table and nothing else. Resistance aura. Okay, that explains some things. Very volatile person. Yeah, so you see, there's a fair number of those big chests, which they were rare chests, so they gave us some decent stuff. Oh, actually, that iron rune is quite good. Greater iron. That's the one that gives energy shield, armor, all that stuff. Definitely want to check this out as well. We have a quiver. We are not going to be using ourselves, but oh, didn't even see that. Yeah, some stuff we could salvage, but yes, we could obviously take multiple trips back to town here. I think I'll take one just to offload some of those things, but don't think we'll do any more than that.
What have you learned?
You... That's not bad, especially because I think that's a... Yeah, that's a hybrid accuracy. Oh, no, it's hybrid accuracy percentage fizz roll. True. Which means you could still get a pure percentage fizz roll, but with all those flat damage numbers, there is no more room for additional prefixes, so it is not possible for that reason. Though it does still look half decent. It's probably still
Welcome to the
something that we've entered, to be honest.
fineries.
This is likely our last chance to upgrade any gear before we go into the vault. Oh, that is not a very high base.
Deal.
That's decent resistances. Better base. The evasion energy shield. Once qualityed up, I don't think it's going to be as high, but it's not going to be that far away. It's a little tempting.
Here's your gold.
Oh, we didn't. Try rolling this. Our current one's good though. I don't think
I know
we need
someone
to.
who needs this.
We aren't really doing fire damage. We might have a tiny bit of added fire. No, not really. So the percentage increased fire is not great. Cold resistance wise, it is better than our current one. Yeah. So we lose a tiny bit of added cold damage to attacks. The main thing we lose, we gain cold res. We are same on life. Mana on kill. Do we have any fire damage at all? This is strictly a damage downgrade. A tiny bit. I really don't know what it's coming from. I guess that is an upgrade, though. Try rolling you. That's not bad. That's not as bad as you might think. That's potentially worth giving it a shot. Regal, or possibly even, in essence. Then I'd have to replace the one that we just threw on here. Or need to replace you. That's actually pretty decent. I know some of those resistance numbers look low, but that's all elemental resistances, so that does add up. That's really a 24% resistance number. And the 6% lightning res, I mean, you already have the implicit, so on top of that, it's still decent. And then the flat damage, It's obviously more than this. Fizz damage is generally more valuable than elemental damage when it comes to added stuff. So you can then convert into elements, but yeah, I think we stash it. I'm not sure that we use it, and then potentially similar story there. Double check we didn't mess stuff up here. No, we're still capped. We do have cold res to spare for what it's worth if we happen to have, say, a cold res rune, which we do. We could swap that out in favor of something like life. I mean, this is one of, if not our lowest level piece of gear right now, so I'm a little hesitant to throw anything particularly helpful in there, or particularly valuable in there. It is perhaps the thing that is going to be replaced the soonest. And it doesn't have that much evasion or energy shield to get boosted by this. Fire res is what we have the most of. Could get some runic ward this way, though. We seriously have 0 life regeneration now. I don't like that. I will do this, though. I like having at least a non-zero amount of life regeneration, even if it's a small amount. That way, if you do get stuck in a situation with no flask charges, you can slowly grind your way back up, maybe with the slow charge regeneration on the flask. Feel okay there. That kind of makes up for it. I mean, we'll pick some of this stuff up. As I said, sure, we could spend a bunch of time hopping back and forth between here and town, tendering some of this stuff, but I don't think that's worth taking the time or effort to do that. So, just gonna get what we can fit, and then thought there was a checkpoint here. It's not letting me click and drag for a second. I was like, oh, it would help if you let me use this. Okay, so as I said, I am a little concerned about this boss. That only gives us 1 if we get the other bells in the AoE. That's not good. Okay, but we fortunately can use this to keep our power charges charged up. First phase, now I'm going to jinx it, but first phase I'm not as concerned about. It's the every other phase that I'm a lot more concerned about.
Where is Makoru? As we speak, the ancestors heal her. Enough!
Okay, and the first time you have your monologue, if we end up doing this multiple times, which may end up happening, then it will be quicker than that. That I do not remember. Is that new? I do not recall seeing that before. Where did that come from? Oh, also, admittedly, I wasn't sure if you were technically phasing, or if I actually did still need to attack you. Okay, so last time when you had the big shiny icon, yeah, you looked like you were doing way more stuff than I had originally expected, and therefore wanted to be a little careful. Because that is nasty. I mean, it used to be... I don't remember how low you had to get him before, but... He's phasing, yeah. Okay. I didn't think we had to get him that low. He also... Did you see that? He got very confused for a second there. Fortunately, I was pressing the wrong button at first, but fortunately, we can once again use these real quick to make sure we're charged up before going into this phase. And sure, the first phase was actually more difficult than I expected, but this is where things get much trickier. And we could very easily find ourselves getting absolutely smashed. And apparently, some of this guy's abilities have changed since I last fought him. Either that, or I just really don't remember them, which is a concern. Oh, that, and I remembered that, yeah, he basically just constantly has the super-powered abilities that you can't block. And I really need to turn the volume up, because I can't hear anything that he's saying, and he does give audio clues for various skills. And I'm basically missing all of those. So that is maybe going to be the first thing I do if we find ourselves doing this again. Which it looks like we might at this rate. Oh, I did not realize we were doing that much damage to him, though. But he obviously does have even more phases.
All I have done in your honor. So be it. I saved my people, myself.
It'd be nice if I didn't take that long to kill all of his ads, and so I didn't have to take all this time to recharge up on this stuff. Okay, this is what I meant when I kept on saying he has multiple additional phases. Okay. I'm pretty sure no one was standing here. This is also what I mean. Like, every single second, he is something that says, oh, you don't want to be standing here. You're supposed to be dodging right now. Including when he's off screen. The point where the mechanics of this fight start to become, I would argue, pretty silly. I honestly have not heard a single thing that he said this entire fight, which is legitimately a problem. Ooh, that's not where you want to stand. I'm not sure if this saves it either, to be honest with you. Oh, wait, did I heavy stun him and then completely ignore him during the heavy stun? Oh no, I was so distracted by all the stuff that he created on the ground. Where am I supposed to stand? Not there. I can tell you that much. Supposed to dodge something. I'm not sure what. Apparently, I'm not supposed to stand there. I don't know. I really don't know what the tell is supposed to be on that. I mean, the entire arena is lighting up. I don't know what to make of that. This is kind of what I mean. There's too much visual clutter to be able to distinguish what is and is not happening, and if I'm not supposed to stand anywhere, then where am I supposed to stand? Yeah, I am going to turn the volume up, though, as I said. I mean, we basically had it there. It definitely was winnable. It, to a certain extent, comes down to if we have a bunch of power charges and we crit, then we have tons of more multipliers that get added together, get multiplied together, and that's where he takes big chunks of damage. What am I really looking for? I think it's dialogue volume, so I can hear his voice tells. I think that's what I really need. And then, oh, before I jump in, get some power charges back. So this first phase was very different from what I remembered. And I also have to get him lower than I thought we did as well. He's stronger, and it feels like we need to do more damage to him. He still has his monologue? I thought he only did that the first time. Like that. I do not remember that. does a Spider-Man move there.
I'm the true
I did see him do it last time as well, yes, but wasn't really thinking of it from that standpoint.
dare challenge a chieftain.
Kalgur will prosper.
Ooh. Yep, that's... The AoE is huge on that. And it goes in a big circle, so
I must be
only so many places you can go.
The Kalgur
Is he phasing now? It looks like he phases at half here, but last time he phased at like a third. Maybe we just hit him with a really big crit, so he took a big chunk of damage that dropped him way lower than he technically had to go last time. That was one of the things that was confusing. Okay, so this... I think ultimately this part of the fight is going to come down to a lot of luck. I'm just going to be honest.
You should not have come here.
Definitely don't want to... That's on me. I was... That sentence was about to be, definitely don't want to stand there. But I did use one of the abilities that teleports us into him. And I was like, we could do some good damage right now, right? No, that's not when you do that. That's on me. That's the wrong ability. That's also on me. But also his voice still wasn't loud enough for me, I'm honest with you. But I'm gonna just deal with it.
Another interfering with things they don't understand. You don't belong here. This is a Kalgur matter.
Where is Makoru?
As we speak, the ancestors heal her. Enough! The time for talk is over.
I agree. The time for talk is over.
Your bones will shatter.
Like Tukohama.
Oh, he hit me with the Spider-Man whip. I think.
Way is clear.
Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. It looked like he did. But it didn't seem like it did much. Which is what makes me question that's actually the case. And now, see, this should be more than enough for him to phase, and yet he still fights. He at least got one more hit in there that I very much did not expect him to have. That was strange.
You cannot escape.
This outside.
Okay. Now let's just be a little smart. Try to be a little more disciplined here. It was the lack of discipline last time that got us in trouble.
True Nakura Magui. Remember this day, if you survive.
Just trying to see. Yeah, was that the ability he was using? I don't know. Might not.
Weakness
I've been something bigger
becomes
than
you.
that. That, perhaps.
You will suffer
Okay, see,
for
like that was a quick first phase. Or second, whatever you want to call this phase. Second, I guess. First of this section. Then he has really long monologue here.
What? Why do you reject me? All I have done, I have
Fully
done in your honor.
heals. And becomes way stronger, slash
Save my people.
starts covering the entire screen. And it just gets very confusing. And I'm sure it's something that, yes, in time, slash with paying closer attention, one could figure it out, but I just don't like it. So I'd rather not. It's like, okay, there are all these huge red dots, red spikes. Definitely don't want to stand on those. Okay, he's doing big stuff there. We probably don't want to stand next to him, right? Now he's lighting up. We probably don't want to stand next to him there either. But it's actually a huge multi-hit combo. Just don't understand. Well, I'm surprised we lived that, because I'm pretty sure that was something we were not supposed to be standing there for. That looks pretty nasty, too. Don't really know what we're supposed to do for this. Apparently he jumped on me. Okay, I heard the sound effect. I assume we don't want to be near the giant sun thing. That looks bad, though. We probably don't want to be there. I don't know where you stand to avoid that. That may very well be the thing that killed us the first time. And he's dead. It's just a, I think, really stupid fight, mechanically.
Can you heal her?
I believe so, but we have to move quickly. You must relinquish the weapon.
Do what you must.
At least in that last phase, for sure.
Father!
Forgive me, daughter. The fever took hold, and I lost my way.
You must not forget your mistake, Tavakai. I will
You have my
What do you
word.
think we
return with
We've heard all that stuff before, so I think we'll carry on here. Should be ready to head back to town.
The Countess leads the Twilight Order, and we now know she has taken the beast to Orient.
Well, we've seen this before.
By using the weapon, the Karui have been cured of their blood fever and have pledged to aid our cause. But we need a sizable army for the battle ahead. It is time to rally our allies. We must recruit the Ezemites, the Meraketh, and the living Val that Doriani speaks of. Then, our siege may stand a chance.
Okay. Yeah, I think we have, but haven't seen that one quite as often because that's newer. Okay.
Now,
As it was sufficed to...
go.
Let's just this. So obviously that is the end of Act 4.
Well met. Here's the gear. No harm done. Farewell.
Someone's actually trying to buy something from us with the old system. I may need to
Yes, yeah. As long as I
may need to sell something to create some inventory space, because that's what I was about to do. Or, well, I guess we just dump stuff here. That'll probably do the trick. Okay. They want this. Well, it's very small, the item that they want. Okay. And I just dumped stuff here. Let's head back to King's March real quick.
Well met. I've forged a few fineries. I think I know someone who needs this.
No.
Perhaps next.
Okay. So, I think it makes sense for us to wrap things up here. I mean, we just finished Act 4. It's a logical stopping point for now. It is a work night for me, so I really can't go any later than this, I don't think. I mean, if we really wanted to, we could just take a quick peek over at...
How can I be of aid?
Probably go here first, just go to town and see if there are any items in the shop that we want to nab. But otherwise...
There is. I must do whatever it takes.
Otherwise...
What brings you in?
Unfortunately,
We can one only the power blood. That's look. Help
it
us.
makes sense for us to wrap
God
up
of
here. I
Lorna, should
hold
you-
on as we have a very long conversation with Renly. Really want... Ooh. We want to see if we can pick up a decent quarterstaff, and that's... Okay, that's not quite as high a tier of fire damage roll as I thought it was, but is at least catching my attention a bit. Might be worth trying to throw some stuff on that. There are a few things here. Have at least one piece that stands out. Let's try this. I think it's lower base crit chance, or lower crit chance. It doesn't have a crit roll yet. It's the same base crit. So that is perhaps going to be the most significant factor, to be honest with you, but let's try it.
Go well.
Have that, and we go. Augment. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to see. Alright, let's check. I mean, obviously, yes, this can still be upgraded further, but we did brick the Aug. I mean, it's potentially doable, but more likely, I think at this point, what we'll do is we'll probably see these dropping more often, and I'll keep my eye out for them and try to get luckier with a few more crafting attempts, and eventually, hopefully stumble across something that can be truly an upgrade beyond this. Probably won't be as well rolled as this was, but with the benefits of being a base quarterstaff that is almost twice the level of this one, we'll probably be okay. Oh, also, okay, we'll go turn in the shark fin now that we have, in fact, hopefully removed the corruption from this area. Can we even do this at this stage? I would hope so. Always do it beforehand. Is it still corrupted? It might be. It's doing the slow walk up. I think it is. I legitimately am not sure how we cash this in then. Yeah, with the butcher dude here. Yep. I don't know. Can we talk to someone in town to get it? Is that a thing? Can that be done? Ow. Please stop that. Oh my goodness. What's the not freeze, but the chill. I was like, this is the slowest my character has ever been? What happened? There we go. Break out some of that while we're at it. Yeah, so I legitimately don't know how we can turn that in at this point. I'm hoping that one of those NPCs is in King's March. Let's just take a quick look. He hangs out over there. So yeah, I would think it'd be this area.
I am the man. We must the yes, my people.
I think it'd be you, though. It's usually you, yeah. Ranks increased. Oh. I didn't really remember what it does, but that's pretty significant. I thought I remembered it being much weaker than this, the upgrade you get from this quest. These armor evasion and energy shield, which if we had better gear would be pretty significant. Eventually it will be. Armor also applies to elemental damage gain, deflection equal to evasion rating, faster start of energy shield recharge. Oh, these are both good. Basically, this is a straightforward one. This is the little more secondary effect one, which I admittedly have not really thought about to what extent we are interested in doing those things. So once again, I will deliberately choose not to select the option until I've gone in and actually made a point of looking at Path of Building. So that's going to be one of the next big things on my to-do list for PoE 2, but as I said, I think this is a good stage for us to wrap up here. we got the second ascendancy trial done, which was cool. We found, and we allocated 2 ascendancy trials worth of points. The bell upgrade, it's quite good. I know, or at least it's, the quality of life of it is quite good. I know in terms of direct damage, it may not stand out, but at least it may just happen to be that the skill that we are using works really well with it. The combination, or skills plural, I suppose, the combination of Killing Palm on these bells in order to power up a Falling Thunder just works really well with this ability. And I know we used this very little, but on the future, yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to experiment with this more, I think. You know, every once in a while I broke it out, but it's tricky because with this wanting to use power charges to become more powerful and Falling Thunder also wanting to use power charges to become more powerful, generally it's sort of been a, well, I'm gonna lean toward Falling Thunder because that's been working out pretty well for us thus far. But we'll have to compare these two and see if there's a way that we can make them play nice together a little bit more. Maybe get even more power charge sustained so we can get the best of both worlds. So all that stuff, we did some optional areas and whatnot, in addition to obviously just then the Act 4 boss. So we're on to the interludes, and we're getting pretty close to endgame with this character. In fact, probably in the time that I spend in between streams, we may already be in maps by the time, or maybe I'll stop just before maps so that I'm not diving into new territory off stream, but that's probably in and around where we'll find ourselves when we are next checking in. With that being said, I think it makes sense for us to wrap up here. This was, of course, our Path of Exile 2 stream. As for our streaming schedule, we are still trying to find ways to squeeze this game in addition to Mass Effect Andromeda, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, and Pyre multiplayer, because there's only 3 weekends, or 3 weekend nights that exist, something like that. And that's 4 games. So that's why we find ourselves doing this one on a weeknight. But it may be that we either continue trying to find weeknights when we can still make this work, or perhaps there may be a maybe we'll end up taking a break from, say, Andromeda multiplayer, given how we are very close to maxing out all of our gear and equipment and whatnot. So I'm getting ahead of myself here, but we'll either find ways to mash one more stream into the week as we did this time around, or maybe we'll swap PoE 2 in place of one of those other ones, likely Andromeda, at least for a little while. But other than that, I mean, those are the other games that we're doing. It's Andromeda Fridays, Mass Effect 3 multiplayer Saturdays, and Pyre multiplayer Sundays. Then, if you haven't done so yet already, of course, you can also hit the subscribe button to check out other stuff that we are doing. I mean, nowadays, of course, most of the stuff that we've been doing has been coming to you live via the stream rather than uploading things in post in just a VOD, what is functionally just a VOD format. It's in case you couldn't tell, you're basically still getting the same content that you were getting before. It's just a little bit easier on my end to deliver it to you efficiently in this case. But in addition to all that stuff, another way, well, you can also follow me on Twitter at LidsVids. I post there when I go live as well. But actually, the best place to stay up to date on all things Lids is my Discord, which you can join by clicking on that link right there. But that's going to be it for me for tonight. So thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the stream. And I'll catch you next time.